How do you buy a house? Stick around until the end and you'll know exactly how to buy your first house. Okay, so while it can be easy to think that your very first step in buying a home is looking for homes, there are a few things that you need to do before you actually start searching for homes. The very first thing that you need to do to buy a home is connect with a really awesome local real estate agent. And I know that if you're just starting to consider buying a home, it can seem like it's a little too soon to speak with an agent. But you'll see in a minute why ultimately this is your first step to making everything else easier. And it's super important that this agent is someone who's really experienced with first-time homebuyers in the areas where you're looking. There are so many different types of agents out there, not only of different skill levels, but different specialties. First-time homebuyers, investors, sellers, different price ranges. So if you're a first-time homebuyer looking for a home around $400,000 downtown, an agent who specializes in million-dollar sellers in the suburbs is probably not going to be the best person to help you reach your goals. They're just going to have a different focus and they're not going to have the experience and the expertise on the market that you need. And of course, you want to make sure your agent is someone who you really trust. This is such a huge purchase and you're going to go through a lot of emotions and need a lot of guidance. So you really want to make sure your agent has your best interests in mind and is someone who's really trustworthy. All right, so you've got your agent, and whether you've met them in person or over Zoom or not, the very next thing that you want to do is to ask your agent for recommendations for local lenders. I really recommend asking your agent for local lender recommendations rather than trying to research them yourself, and here's why. Your lender is ultimately going to be responsible for getting your offers accepted by the sellers, making sure that you have a smooth home buying process, and ultimately making sure that your mortgage gets approved. And because your agent does this all the time and has probably worked with dozens and dozens of different lenders in your area, they really have their finger on the pulse of who are the good lenders in your area. It's just easier than taking the risk of working with a lender who you don't know. Ask your agent for their recommendations for local lenders and then reach out to that local lender either by email or text or calling and just say, hey, I'm looking to buy my first home. I'd be interested in knowing my price range. And then you'll set up a call with your lender. You'll speak to them about your savings, your income, your employment, any debts that you have, and ideally what you're comfortable with spending monthly and out of pocket for the home. And within 10 to 15 minutes, your lender should be able to tell you whether or not you're in a position to buy a home. And if you're not, here's the good news. Your lender will be able to tell you what you need to do to get into a position to buy a home. And again, even if you think it's too soon for you to speak with a lender, here's why you need to do this sooner than you think. Number one, it helps you get clear about what your out-of-pocket costs are going to be. So when you purchase a home, of course you have your down payment, but you also have closing costs. Closing costs vary widely by area and can even change depending on what town and school district you're looking in. They can be anywhere from 1.5% to 6% of the purchase price, and this is on top of your down payment. So if your closing costs in your area are closer to 6%, that's a lot more cash that you'll need on top of your down payment. So speaking with a local lender sooner rather than later will help you get clear about what your closing costs are so you can budget accordingly. You really want to make sure you're in a good spot as far as savings, income, credit, and any debts that you might have. So for example, if you are self-employed, you need 2 years of tax returns to show income, and then lenders typically look at your net income, so your income after all of your tax deductions. What's really important to talk to a lender ahead of time if you're thinking of becoming self-employed. Even if you're just considering switching jobs, it's really important to talk to your lender to make sure this won't affect your home search. And of course, once you speak to a lender, they will give you an estimated price range. It's very difficult to search for homes without knowing what your price range is. The worst thing that can happen is you start searching for homes in one price range. Let's say you're looking around $450,000, and then you find out that you're in a lower price range around $350,000. You just spent the last 6 weeks looking at homes for $450,000, so now every home that's actually in your price range of $350,000 is going to suck. It just is. Or the reverse, let's say you think your budget is $350,000, but you can actually spend $450,000 and you're comfortable with that number. It's a good problem to have, but now you just wasted all this time looking in the wrong price range. So really just a huge time saver to speak with the lender first and then search for homes. Now, you're going to meet with your agent one-on-one if you haven't done so yet. You want to work with your agent to make sure you're really clear on what you're looking for in a home and where you're looking for it, that you really know neighborhoods, and that you understand what the market is like. You also want to make sure that you have a good idea of the process and what's coming next. This will make the process a lot less nerve-wracking and help you make decisions with confidence. So I really recommend either discussing the process in full with your agent or signing up for the next Homebuying 101 class, which I will link below. We'll go through the entire home buying process so you really understand what's happening as you're going through it. Really, once you have your agent and your lender who you really trust, they will walk you through all the next steps and the rest will kind of fall into place. If you're looking to connect with an awesome local agent, click below to schedule your home buying action plan meeting. Go over where you're at in your search and what you're looking for in a home, and then we'll get you connected with the perfect agent to help you, regardless of where you're looking.